Hey, how are you? How's it going? Cat got my tongue? No. I'm just trying to get, I don't know, this is my second live stream of the day, and I'm just trying to get comfortable with the StreamYards because when I use Streamlabs, it's just totally different. I don't see myself like I do in this one, and I'm just getting used to it. But anyway, let's get an introduction going. My name is John Schenk, and I am the founder and managing broker of a small real estate brokerage in St. Louis, Missouri, known here as Deerwood Realty. We're a very small brokerage, and I spend most of my days working out in the public. I help buyers buy houses, and I help sellers sell houses. That's what I do. That's my main job. And I have a live stream, and it's Deerwood Realty live streams. But in running, I mean, I've started a number of businesses in my life, and some of them have been pretty successful, and actually none of them have been that successful. This is the most successful business I've ever been a part of with Deerwood Realty. But I feel like I've learned from all of my mistakes over time, and I feel like I have a great reverence for watching people fail when they try something new in business and it doesn't work out. But I think that when I started my businesses, or when I was parts of businesses that were startups or micro businesses, I think that it held me back a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I think that I didn't climb the corporate ladder the way I was supposed to. And for that, I make no apologies. But I feel like, having started businesses that fail, I feel like running a business right now that's doing pretty well, I feel like that qualifies me to talk about employment issues, and from a unique perspective. That is, from both as an employee. I've been an employee at many companies, and it's been terrible. I've been a boss. I've had to hire people. I've had to fire people. I've got the employment thing kind of figured out as far as I'm concerned, and to the extent that I can understand it. Now, I think there's a phenomenon in the world, and that is there's jobs that you work that you don't really do anything. Bullshit jobs, they used to call it. And I got to get that book, by the way. I've been behind. I've been working my tail off. But, how many jobs involve just shuffling paper? Or, how many jobs are you so far removed from the customer that you can pretty much just hate everything and everybody, and nothing bad will happen to the business? What about things like employee activism? What about corporate activism? What about corporate cronyism? How is this all working out? Is the United States employment picture just stupid? I mean, absurd. I mean, really. I mean, why do people get up to go to work anymore? Is it because they're trying to feed their families, or is it just because that's something that they've always done? Who's excelling in the workforce? Why are they excelling? These questions have been on my mind for years. I'll tell you, I'll start. It's 9:04 here, Central Time. Let me just tell you one story that kind of personifies where it started for me. One of the stories. I was working for a local, I had left college. I'd left graduate school. And that was at the University of Kansas, in case you're interested in knowing where I graduated, or where I went to graduate school the first time. I've gone to graduate school 2 times since then. But anyway, the one failure I had in graduate school was the University of Kansas. I'd left there. I moved back home in with my mother, and man, it sucked. And she managed to, I was miserable. I was sad and broken at like age 22, just beside myself. And because I really thought that things were going to go well for me. I thought that I was somewhat special. I thought people would want to employ me for my skills. Quickly in the workforce, I found that wasn't the case. But anyway, I was sitting there, and I would go and feel sorry for myself quite a bit. And my mom would go to work and she would be back home. And by the time she got home, I may have made a sandwich for the day. I might have gotten around to that. And other than that, I would just sit in the television room at the time and watch cable. And mom didn't like that too much. And eventually, actually every day she would talk to her friends about me and say, hey, my son is a good boy, but he is not, he's not doing very well. He needs a job. He needs something to take his mind off of, his situation. And so a friend of a friend managed to get me an interview at a sporting goods store. I went to the interview, and it was the guy's girlfriend that got me the interview. And I took the test. Now I'd love to know if you guys have ever taken this test, but there's a retail test. There was at the time, and you take this test and you're supposed to fill it out honestly. And it was all these questions. One of the questions I remember was, I've witnessed people stealing from a store that I've worked at. And I did, because I'd worked at Subway and people stole food all the time from the Subway. So I answered it truthfully. In fact, I answered all the questions truthfully. And when I got done, he got the test and he said, I can't hire you with these answers. He said, change your answers. And so I changed the answers to what he wanted. This was my first experience with the truth. Sometimes isn't very helpful. Like if you want to get a job, maybe telling the truth isn't the best idea. But anyway, I ended up getting that job. And I was not good at retail. Understand. I was a cashier, and people would give me credit cards, but I was so used to using my own credit cards that whenever someone would give me one, I would just take it. I would just hold it. I wouldn't give it back. This was before they had the, machines where you would press it in. I learned the computer system at that place within like 4 hours. I mean, I knew the whole thing. And it was really interesting, a really interesting time. The owners of the company would come in and they would talk to me, and they would be so impressed and so confused as to why I was working as a cashier at their store. They had no idea why. And I don't know. It was very bizarre. Was I overqualified for that job? Probably, except for the credit card thing, which clearly I wasn't good at. But anyway, there was a guy that worked part-time there, and he would, like, I had these pens that I had brought from home for the credit card slips at the time. You would write that you agree, like similar to a restaurant now, but that would be everything back then. And he was working at a startup in St. Louis City at the time. I don't know whatever happened to him, and I don't even know what startup it was. There was a time when St. Louis, like, everyone was in a startup and it was all going to work out great. I don't know if that's the case now. I'm not particular in that area. The Cortex Center. I think they were just building it at the time. But anyway, he took my pen, and I said, "Hey man, that's my pen." He's like, "You work here, and I'm taking the pen because this is part of what I need for my job. I need this pen." I'm like, "You literally help people order uniforms. You don't need my pen." But he said to me, he's like, if they won't give me a pen to work here, I just won't work here. And I thought that was very interesting, very petty. This idea that even a pen, like, a couple bucks, and he felt like that should be supplied by the company. I don't know. I never had an issue, but my point is he wasn't that great. He was making good money at this startup, yet he was working, part-time at this store. But that was the mentality. It's like, you owe me everything. And understand, I don't feel like I'm pro. I don't even know where I'm at on this scale, to be honest with you. I don't know. I love people. I feel like employment is so important to a human experience. Okay. But how that gets, I'd say, bastardized, how that gets screwed up in our society blows me away. Like, for me, there was this, it used to be called the purpose-driven lifestyle. I don't know any, I mean, I don't follow this stuff anymore, but the idea that your life has some sort of meaning, some sort of purpose. And many people divine that meaning through work or through that's who they are. That's how they define themselves. And I've always found it to be kind of weird. And what I mean by that is, I mentioned this morning. If you're a doctor, people automatically assume you're the most wonderful human being on earth, that you could never do wrong, that you would never operate on someone to make money, right? Because that's against the oath, right? You would never be, you never, have 17 wives, you just like a doctor is always perfect in your mind. A house painter, what do you think about that? That guy's, what do you think of maybe someone from a different country? Somebody that's on drugs. What do you think about a painter, house painter? Somebody that failed at life. I mean, I'm just asking what you think. I'm not putting a label on somebody. What do you think about a real estate agent? Do you think that those are stupid people? I know that sometimes I'll meet people that think I'm just, I can't say, I don't know the words that are appropriate on YouTube for what they think I am, but it's not good. It's not good. So, it's fascinating to me. All this is fascinating. And so, maybe a month ago, I was like, I think I enjoy the live stream, and I'd like to talk about these things. I think that they're important. I think that there's real value there. I think that I spilled my soda on my, I hope that's soda. Sort of. It's going to be sticky. I just think there's some value there. And I thought that maybe we could have a place where everybody could come and we could talk about these wild ass things that happen in your employment. And now you may say, well, what do you mean by that? I mean, like, look, let's say you're a normal human being and you're a good worker. You go to your job every day and you're sexually harassed. And somehow through a weird world, you're allowed to continue to go to work and be harassed for years. Like, if you had never worked there, you may never have been harassed. So that's no good. What about if you get killed on the job? Like, what job is worth being killed for? It's always a fascinating thing. Like quick store workers, like we have QTs here in St. Louis, but any gas station that works, those people work at, in the middle of the night and somebody comes in and tries to rob them, shoots them. Is that really worth it? Like, is my life really worth this job? I mean, when I was a young MBA, my goal in life was to be wheeled out of the office with, dead, wheeled out of the office dead from working for the company. I mean, if that's not the definition of a company man, I don't know what is. Now, my views have changed dramatically since then, but it's still what fascinates me. Why did I change? What happened? I think we all saw the movie Wall Street, or maybe you haven't, but if you have time, that's a great movie. But we all see ourselves in that. That was the way it was. That wasn't overdone. Leveraged buyouts, things of this nature during that time. Ruthless. Things have changed. People are still ruthless. Companies are still ruthless, but they do it a different way. They do it through virtue signaling, oddly enough. If your company is engaged in employing slave labor around the world to produce your shoes or your shirts, don't let someone broadside you by that allegation. Turn it around and say that America is a terribly racist country and try to divide groups of people by their race, by their sex, by their gender orientation. That's the company policy now. That's the handbook. You come at me, I come at America. And if I want attention, the Gillette company, one of the most disgusting ad campaigns ever. You are a man, you shave every day, and the company that you've grown up with starts putting out ads about how you're a wife beater, how you're a terrible person, how because you're a boy, because you're born male, you do all these evil and terrible things. So nothing like buying a $6 razor and being lectured by the company that is doing that. Now, why did they do that? Well, they want to cause a buzz. They want to cause a buzz, but hey, whatever, right? I think something that I find universal is this instance or this idea of karma. So, or fairness, karma or fairness. And I've witnessed that companies can go many, many years longer than any sort of concept of fairness or karma would allow. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm not criticizing General Electric, but they were found to have polluted the Hudson River maybe many, many years ago when it was okay to do so. Like it's ever been okay. GE Capital was a very fascinating company during maybe the mid 2000s. You should look up the things that they did. They were great. Anyway, that's why I started the channel. That's why I'm talking about it with you tonight. My hope is that you could come and bring your stories of employment to our deal. If that makes any sense, maybe what should I do? Now you say, well, John, why should I ask you what I should do? What is your qualification? I don't have any. You probably should do the opposite of what I say. But there's some absurdity that's going on with work now in the United States. It's bizarre. I think we've definitely lost this chance for people to work up the company ladder. I don't think that happens anymore. I think we're almost in a caste system. I think that some kids go to college and it's just indentured servitude for the rest of their lives with college debt. For jobs that they're never going to get. If you went to Harvard, if you went to one of the Ivy League schools, you've automatically got yourself set for the rest of your life, while the person that studied and did really, really well in community college and then went on to smaller college that they didn't go into debt for may very well be miserable for the rest of their lives, jumping from job to job to job. I met a woman just yesterday. She said her husband had been an audiologist at a local hospital, and what had been wonderful about that is he was allowed to retire. Most of the time when the employees got to the age of close to retirement, they would be fired for some reason that, layoffs, or there'd be some reason that they never made it to get their full retirement. And am I bitter about that? No, I'm not naive about it either. And I think a lot of people are. One of the reasons why I started my real estate company is I never wanted to be forced out the door. I always wanted to be able to walk out the door. Can you imagine giving your life, giving your treasure essentially of time to an organization for 20, 25 years and not get to retire through no fault of your own? But let's be honest, you're expensive, and we can bring in a college kid for, much, much cheaper and get rid of you. This is the world that I live in. This is the business world that I live in that I don't like. Am I an outsider? I don't know that I'm an outsider. If I saw a business opportunity, I would go after it every time. I'm obligated to do that. Now, it depends on, what kind of company you start. I mean, that's another issue is some of these companies that I'm seeing in my own industry, real estate. There are a number of companies right now doing a couple things. There's companies doing iBuying. That is where they're buying houses and they're maybe making a few repairs and then they're putting them back on the market for 30 or 40% higher than what they were purchased for. And they're basically taking up space in the marketplace that would have otherwise been utilized by, people that just want a home to fix up and live in and build some equity on their own, sweat equity, we called it. Those companies are being financed by Wall Street. Exclusively. They lose money consistently, yet at the same time, they are lauded and they're allowed to operate and just take over, basically. There are companies, brokerages that have models that are not profitable, that are also funded by Wall Street, that over time have become just dominant forces in, less than 10 years. And, what is their goal? Well, it's to take over the real estate business. How are they doing that? By taking all the agents, by giving them sweet deals. Will those deals continue? No, because I'm seeing that in their reporting that they are not giving the sweetheart deals to high performers anymore, and they'll now if you come aboard their brokerage, they're kind of like, you don't really get anything. So anyway, that's in my own industry. That's what I'm seeing in my own industry. So I just think there's I think that we're not like, let's be honest. I'm not going to work for a Fortune 500 company. There's no one hiring me. Okay. There's no one hiring me at a Fortune 500 company. There's no one. I mean, my clients, okay, are my friends, my family, the people that have referred me. Okay. I'm not going anywhere. You can say to me, honestly, we're going to boycott you at Deerwood Realty for the things you say about employment. And I would tell you, look, I've been boycotted by people at Deerwood Realty in the past. This isn't something new. I mean, I've had years where I've sold like 3 houses. I mean, it's like I'm being boycotted anyway by not saying anything. And so, who else to talk about these things? If you're not worried about being fired, isn't that the best person to go to? I mean, why do we have to be in this? Why do we have to walk on eggshells? I don't feel like we do in my space. In this area, why? You say, well, I'm not going to use you to buy or sell my house. Well, I live in a little small section of South County in Missouri. There's millions and millions and millions of different places in the world. Okay. I'm only licensed in Missouri. I can only release, and I'm only part of the board in St. Louis County, St. Louis City, Jefferson County, and St. Charles County. I mean, I'm only members of those boards. I'm not members of a board in Kansas City or anything like that. I'm not going to sell real estate out there. So my point is that who better than a YouTuber to talk about employment who doesn't have to worry about being fired? Now, you say, well, you have to worry about YouTube cutting your feet. Now, that's fair. Certainly fair. But do you really think I've got 7 subscribers? Do you really think YouTube's coming at me for 7 subscribers? I mean, what harm can I do? They can shadow ban me as far as that's concerned, and they may. It is what it is, right? We try. We make an effort. So come with me on this journey. What do I want from you? I think that's fair to ask that. John, what do you want from me? I want you to watch. I want you to contribute. By contribute, I mean, put something in the chat. Put a comment down. Most importantly, would you subscribe? I need 1,000 subscribers. I need 4,000 watch hours to be monetized. Now, if I'm monetized, that allows me to do super chats, which are fantastic, but it also allows me to get paid for advertising. Now, am I going to get paid millions of dollars because I get advertising dollars? No, I'll get about 30 cents a video if I'm lucky. So I'm not in it for that. What I want to do is create this community that we can look at these issues from a broad perspective and maybe find some answers. So that being said, let's get into it today. I'm going to share my screen. I like to do this share screen. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go here. I'm going to go here. And the first thing I saw today was this. Now, Dan Price and I are not friends. Do you know who Dan Price is? Dan Price famously, I think, pays his employees way more than anybody else. He likes to advocate for the little guy. And, well, I think that's a very admirable position. There's times where we just don't agree. But we did agree with this tweet that he made. It says, first of all, this is Disney. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, Disney's decided to come out against all sorts of things. In my lifetime, they've been a little bit more corporate advocacy than I really wanted, than I really needed. I feel like anytime you go to Disney World or whatever the one is in Florida, Disneyland, you are really being hosed. I don't feel like there's any value there whatsoever. We chose not to take the kids there, not because it was just, it was so ridiculous. That's what we did. Now, am I anti-Disney? No, I think we watched Frozen. Some of the earlier Disney stuff was magical. It's not so much magical anymore. I don't know if it can be. But here we go. So Dan says, he tweets this. He says, Disney in the pandemic laid off 28,000 workers, issued a $1.5 billion dividend. 68% of their workers said they're food insecure. They cut median worker pay, and they just gave its CEO a $14.3 million bonus, doubling his pay to $32.5 million, even though its stock dropped under him. Now, one of the things I would argue with Dan Price is does the stock price is it any way influenced by the CEO? And I mean that with a straight face. Why was GE's valuation under Jack Welch so much better than under Immels? I don't know. There's like a time and place, it seems, for businesses. And so, the point here is, well, and here's what I've never been able to figure out on my end. They say you lost such and such money as the CEO, and that's a bad thing. And I agree with that. But what if you come in as a CEO and your company's terrible, okay? And it takes a while to turn it around. How do you get paid for the time to turn it around? Like if you could be a CEO at 5 different companies and you choose this particular one, why are you choosing it? You're putting your reputation on the line. I don't know if it's true. I'm just putting it out there. Okay. So anyway, what do you think? What do you think about Disney? Thoughts on Disney? All right, moving on. We have this court case that I thought was interesting, and I wanted to kind of go over it with you because I don't know the answer. But let's go through it. It says, court, the employer did not discriminate when it rejected an applicant with a domestic violence conviction. So I'm trying to figure this out. I have not read this article, but I'm going from the headline. Like, let's say, like I used to run an ad in like Indeed, and I would get like 1,000 resumes. Did I look through to see if like someone was, had a domestic violence conviction? No, because there were just so many. So, should we be discriminating? I mean, should we not be? I mean, I don't know the answer. I never even thought about it until I saw this article. And so let's get to it. A Racine manufacturer acted reasonably when it withdrew a job offer from an applicant convicted of domestic violence, the Supreme Court ruled Thursday. In a 4-3 decision, Justice Jill Karofsky stated that Cree Lighting didn't discriminate unlawfully when it rescinded its offer to hire Derek Palmer in 2015 after the company learned of his conviction 3 years earlier in violent attacks on his girlfriend that included strangulation and sexual assault. So let me do it a little bit shorthand here. So this wasn't in the pool of applicants like that I was talking about. They had actually said, "Hey, congratulations! Here's a job offer for you." He got the letter. And then somehow they found out, I don't know how the company learned. It says Cree makes light emitted diode light bulbs as well as large outdoor lighting systems. Contingent on a background check. If it says, "Hey, welcome to the company, you're hired, contingent on our background check." That's not doing anything wrong, in my opinion, as the employer. That part isn't. The company had offered Palmer a job designing lighting arrays, When the background check turned up details of the convictions, Cree withdrew the offer. Okay, let's just go over this. Cree says, hey, pending a background check, you're hired. They do the background check, and it's like, hey, man, this isn't so good. This might be a problem. Now, also, let's do something that in law in today's age, I think is overlooked. Allegations are one thing. Convictions are another. Okay. If you're convicted of a crime, okay. Now, maybe you say you didn't do it or something like that. I don't know. But a conviction is different than an allegation. The company asserted that Palmer's job would have put him in close proximity with women coworkers and customers, and that his record showed that he could endanger them. The company said about half of its 1,000 Racine employees are women. So it's kind of statistically normal. Now, it says that he had been convicted in violent attacks on his girlfriend that included strangulation and sexual assault. Does that make it okay? No, but there's like domestic disputes and whatnot. That's a little different. That he didn't like. I don't know that we have to worry about this person attacking all women. That seems a little weird. But let's just talk about for a moment meritocracy. That's dead, by the way, totally dead. But say you have two employee applicants that you're considering offering a job to. One of them has a criminal record. One of them doesn't. Who do you hire? I guess it depends on the criminal record. Should the person that never committed a crime get better shot at a job than someone who did? I don't know. I mean, I seriously haven't ever really gone down this path. Now, I don't know the laws. I don't know I feel like kind of the ethics behind it are, interesting. Interesting would be the word I would use. But anyway, let's continue. Rulings in the case have seesawed back and forth, starting with a discrimination complaint that Palmer filed with the state equal rights division after he was turned down for the job. The state's employment discrimination law says employers can't disqualify a job applicant with a criminal record unless there is a substantial relationship between the crime and the job. So my understanding is in this case, you can't, like, let's say that you were a pharmacist and you were on meth, or you were found to have abused pharmaceutical drugs in your employment. That seems to me, and say you want to become you want to get a pharmacy job. This seems like it would be not a good idea. This just seems like, off the top of my head, that seems like a bad idea. Now, if this same pharmacy were to want to employ Palmer and he was, licensed and certified to become a pharmacist, does it matter that he attacked his girlfriend that included strangulation and sexual assault? He's going to be a pharmacist. Okay. So it says, although an equal rights investigator, which is always dicey, found that Palmer's complaint had merit, state administrative law judge subsequently dismissed the complaint, ruling that Cree's concerns were justified. After Palmer appealed, the State and Labor and Industry Review Commission overturned the administrative judge's ruling, concluding that the domestic violence convictions weren't relevant in the context of the job. At the next stop, the Racine County Circuit Court, a judge overturned the LIRC ruling and sided with the company. The state appeals court reversed the judge, upholding the LIRC decision in Palmer's favor. Now, look, this is one of the problems that I have with the current world we live in. It's no longer just like, hey, did you do something wrong? Now it's like, hey, let's put this in committees and pseudo government offices and just employ all these people to go back and forth and back and forth. There's no onus to solve this issue with the first complaint. Like none of these people make any money unless you appeal it. That goes from lawyers all the way to the judges, to the social workers, to the investigators. There's no one here that wants to solve this problem. There's literally like 17 groups. So the high court decision Thursday, at the state appeals court reversed the judge upholding the LIRC decision in Palmer's favor. The high court decision Thursday goes back to the LIRC decision overturning it. Here's the quote. Cree sufficiently established that the circumstances surrounding Palmer's 2013 convictions for domestic violence substantially relate to the circumstances of the offered position, the ruling states, and the company did not unlawfully discriminate against Palmer when it canceled the job offer. Domestic violence matters in other aspects of the life of a person who's committed it, the court majority said. That's what they said. I'm not in this one. Domestic violence matters in other aspects of the life of a person who has committed it. In LIRC's ruling that upheld the discrimination claim, the commission determined that acts of domestic violence are practically immaterial to recidivism in the workplace because of their domestic nature. Karofsky wrote, LIRC's assumption appears to be based on a common but unsupported belief that domestic batterers have a tendency to be violent only towards intimate partners. Now, unsupported belief so is a supported belief that that's true? I don't really know. But I don't believe that I do not agree with the ruling that the acts of domestic violence are practically immaterial to recidivism in the workplace because of their domestic nature. I don't agree with that. But there's no poll or anything. I just wanted to check the chat, see if there were a bunch of people in there. There aren't. In contrast, the ruling cites testimony from a domestic violence expert that Cree called during the original discrimination hearing. The expert testimony shows that crimes of domestic violence, like other violent crimes, indicate a character trait of willingness to use violence against others, the ruling states, and also that acts of domestic violence are rooted in power and control. I'm not a real big fan of domestic violence. I'm just going to put it out there. If that makes you uncomfortable, that I don't like domestic violence, I'm sorry. Challenges from and like you say, well, the alternative, do you like, I don't think anybody does. And if you do, you're sicko. That's just all there is to it. Challenges from coworkers or demands or complaints from customers over prospective lighting designs could lead Palmer to react consistent with his past behavior in a violent manner in order to exert his own power or control, the ruling states. I mean, what would he do with people that were below him in the employment chain, especially women? With his propensity to use violence to exert power and control, along with the position's lack of close supervision and the fact that there are secluded areas throughout the plant where he might isolate a person whom he targeted for violence, the ruling finds there was a substantial relationship between the job and Palmer's criminal record that justified denying him the job. The ruling directs the circuit court to send the case back to LIRC, directing the commission to dismiss Palmer's complaint. The ruling divided the court's liberal and conservative camps. Karofsky, part of the liberal group, was joined by three of the conservatives. We don't need to know who they are. Karofsky previously served as a executive director of the Wisconsin Office of Crime Victim Services. As an assistant attorney general, she served as the state's violence against women resource prosecutor and made her advocacy for victims a centerpiece of her campaign for the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Judge, I've added Wisconsin. I don't want you to think that, I just want you to know that I did that. Justices, I don't care. Okay. Writing for the dissenters, Dalit, which was one of the judges, said that, and I don't know if I got the name right, said that while the ruling claimed it connected the applicant's crime and the job circumstances in support of rejecting Palmer as the law requires, it fell short. Instead, she wrote, the majority substitute a general character traits it claims are somehow revealed by the elements of a crime of domestic violence. He wrote that the ruling undermines the anti-discrimination policy of the Fair Employment Act by allowing employers to refuse to hire all domestic violence offenders regardless of the circumstances. The ruling shouldn't have even relied on the expert witness from the LIRC hearing. but should have accepted the commission's conclusions about the facts of the case and the weight of the evidence. That's weird because the LIRC hearing expert witness should have been part of the evidence. In ignoring the LIRC's determination that Cree never established a relationship between the job and Palmer's crime, the ruling has no basis in the text of the Fair Employment Act and undermines the Act's express policy of promoting the reintegration into the workforce of those who have been convicted of crimes. Look, a topic for another day is if you do these things that this man did, should you really only get 3 years in jail? Or were you even in jail at all? That's a question I have. I mean, I thought it was interesting. So what do you think? Do you think anything? Should we hire these people? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Jobs are a weapon, understand. Jobs are power. If you have a job that's a well-paying job, you can certainly use that power and wealth over others. Do we want people that are criminals, convicted felons, to wield that power? I mean, that's where I'm at. I mean, say you have somebody that hasn't committed any violence, hasn't been convicted of any crimes, and you have somebody that has. Who do you hire? Well, this is saying that you have to look at the person that committed crimes as someone who has every chance to get the job as the other person. But is that even right? I don't know. What do you think? We'll move on. This is a terrible boss, and I thought it was kind of fun. I mean, relatively. Boss who gave employees energy drink mixed with colon cleanser gets sentenced. Okay. So did you think that a boss would ever give you colon cleanser? And then if they did you ever think that they would be prosecuted? I don't know. It says, if Denise Hernandez did what police say she did, well, she was an all-time bad boss. Because police say Hernandez, a former Texas elections administrator, offered her workers what she told them was Spark energy drink back on April 27th, 2021. They drank the pink liquid. She stepped out, but when she returned, they say she pulled out a canister of colon cleanse and began to taunt her workers who reportedly were already experiencing stomach discomfort. Hernandez reportedly began singing, "You just drank colon cleanser." It wasn't a laughing matter because colon cleansers don't just mean trips to the bathroom. In some instances, they can also be harmful, according to the report. And some of her employees who had pre-existing conditions apparently had some real issues handling it all. It wasn't just the colon cleanse, though, according to an affidavit provided in the case. Hernandez was described as a bully, and one employee reportedly said she would make fun of her and poke her breast. Now, I don't think you should be doing that, man or woman in the workforce. You should not be poking someone in a sensitive area. I think that should be obvious. Is it not? If Hernandez was hoping for a good laugh here, it didn't end up that way for her. She was arrested and reportedly pleaded guilty March 9th to 2 counts of assault causing bodily harm. She no longer works as a Texas elections administrator and was sentenced to 18 months probation and 80 hours of community service. Now, let me ask you this. If this person was convicted and she went to the Cree Lighting Company in Wisconsin and interviewed well and was offered a job, and then on background check they said, "Hey, wait a minute, you've just been arrested or you've been convicted of giving colon cleanse to your employees. We're an employer. This doesn't seem like someone we should be hiring." It seems material to the job. It seems, if you're a manager, it seems like that's material to any job. And I also want to go from this kind of perspective, and it's an odd perspective, but I'm just going to put it out there. Look, some would say that the laws are working because this person was caught. It's evidence of the law working. I don't know if that's true anymore. When I say anymore, I mean my own beliefs. How many times does something like this happen in a workplace that doesn't get reported? I mean, I don't know. But again, this goes to the premise of the channel. Let's say you're an employee, okay? Nice, good person, going to work to make money, going to work to help someone get elected. You have a mission, you have a goal. And then you have this boss that is mixing colon cleanser in your drink. Like what trust would you ever have of that employer? I mean, it's just like, why do you deserve, like, what in your life makes you have to go to work to put up with this garbage? You know what I'm saying? Why? Like, how is this material to you earning a wage? I don't think it is. I don't think you should have to put up with this. And you say, well, they're not putting up with it. She got fired. Well, she's going to go work somewhere else. This is why I have the channel. I think it's interesting stuff. I think you should come and hang out with me. Please consider it. Let's go. Next one. It says 10 skills you need to land a top job in 2022, according to Glassdoor. I said according to Glassdoor, but it didn't come out that way. At least I didn't hear it. Oh, excuse me. I thought this was interesting. I don't have any skills, I guess. I don't want to land a top job. Anyway, let's go. More companies are eliminating degree requirements in their job postings, which I think is a mistake. Between 2017 and 2019, employers reduced the degree requirements for 46% of middle skill positions and 31% of high skill positions, according to research from the Harvard Business Review and MC Burning Glass, a labor market data firm. Instead, companies are adding a more detailed soft skills requirement in their job postings and testing hard skills through certifications, evaluations, and other methods. The trend begs the question, what skills do you need to thrive in today's workplace? Now, I really do feel like when you get rid of when you get rid of degree requirements, when you have these soft skill requirements, I think this is a great way to lead to all sorts of discrimination. And I really think it's terrible. I do believe that you should have competency in your job. Don't get me wrong. But I think that if you've gone to school, let's say you've gone and got a master's degree and someone's just graduated from high school and you put them at the same job, why did the person go to graduate school if it's not worth anything? I mean, I'm just putting it out there. You can disagree with me. I'm okay with that. To determine the most essential skills people need to land a top job in today's workplace, Glassdoor looked at the skill requirements that appear the most among postings for the site's top 50 best jobs. This list ranks jobs based on earnings potential, overall job satisfaction rating, and the number of openings on Glassdoor. Tech jobs dominate the list, with enterprise architect, full stack engineer, and data scientist claiming the top 3 spots. Picking up some of the skills outlined in Glassdoor's report can help you adapt to better, fast-changing job requirements and become eligible for higher-paying roles. That's what it says. But I mean, if you're not in the tech industry, these things aren't going to help you at all. The most in-demand technical skills: machine learning, understanding computer systems and algorithms that are able to learn and adapt automatically to user experience and perform complex tasks; distributed computing, linking together multiple computer systems over a shared network so they can collaborate, communicate, and work together; time series analysis, analyze a data sequence indexed in time order to extract statistics and other data characteristics; statistical modeling, building a mathematical model that reflects the statistical assumptions generated from the sample data; usability testing, evaluating a product or service by testing it out with users. It says here are the most in-demand non-technical skills: product management, guiding each step of a product's lifestyle from development and planning to execution and pricing; contract administration, planning, negotiating, and managing contracts made with customers, vendors, partners, or employees; project management, organizing a company's resource to guide a specific task or event towards completion and lead a team that achieves all of a project's goals; business planning, creating a roadmap that outlines the goals and functions of a business, showing critical thinking and a close attention to detail. Account management, overseeing and nurturing a company's client relationships and strengthening a company's sales structure. I was just checking the chat. Daniel Zhao, a senior economist and data scientist at Glassdoor, tells CNBC make it that these skills are directly tied to the undercurrent of the tight labor market, and they need to stay competitive in today's increasingly data-driven world. A lot of these skills are critical for attracting and retaining talent as well as building teams, while we're also seeing an increased presence of tech specializations and job requirements and an influx of data-related jobs, which shows how important it is for businesses to hire workers who can make sense of big data. It's like, here's all the things that we want you to do technically, and then if you're not technical, here's what you should do. And then the bottom paragraph is, hey, we need all this technology. We need all these technological skills. I mean, I don't know what to make of that. Make it. Let's do one more. Let's do one more article, and then we'll cut it tonight. Things are going by fast. I appear to have gleeked into the mic. Do you know what gleeking is? It's when you have those little things down there. I believe I've done that into the microphone. I'm embarrassed, but let's continue. This is from Denver. I just thought it was interesting. I've been watching Starbucks, and I know they're on this mission to they're being unionized in certain places. They're not happy about it, and I don't know what to think. Should Starbucks be union? Will the service be better? How will it be best for everyone? Who will it serve the most if Starbucks is union or non-union? That's my question at the end of the day. Let's get going here. It says dozens of Starbucks employees walked out of, now this was in March, by the way, so I don't know what's going on now, walked out of one of the Coffee Giant's Denver locations Friday morning in strike of, well, that doesn't make any sense. Dozens of Starbucks employees walked out of one of the Coffee Giant's Denver locations Friday morning in strike of what they call unfair labor practices. According to Worker United, the union representing Starbucks employees, I don't know if you could ever trust a company representing employees of a company that doesn't want to be union. Whatever. I would call those activists. Two union organizers at the Starbucks located at, I don't care, say they've recently received final disciplinary warnings in retaliation for supporting unionization. Formal charges have been filed against Starbucks with the NLRB regarding the situation. I don't trust the NLRB to do anything right as a government organization. I don't really want to fight with Starbucks or anyone else about unionization. But let's continue. Michaela Solaro, a shift supervisor at the cafe and member of the organizing committee, said employees were striking Friday to bring attention to what she called Starbucks' retaliatory and intimidating actions like cutting hours, schooling, and insurance. Well, I happen to know a Starbucks employee, and they have been cutting her hours ridiculously because they have a new shift supervisor who's a jerk. I'm just saying. I'll let you figure out what that's about. Anyway, Solaro said all of the employees working on the floor at the Colfax Avenue Starbucks Friday morning walked out in support. Now, let me just say this. Say I'm working at Starbucks and my shift supervisor says, hey, we're walking out. We're striking. Am I going? I don't know. Like, I just want to do my job. I just want to make coffee and get paid and go home. Like, this is what I want. You say, well, what about your fellow worker? I don't really care about my fellow worker. Like, I'm working at Starbucks and I just want to make money so that I can afford things. And maybe someday I can get some skills and buy and get a different job and make more money. Maybe. So come on, everybody, get out. No, I don't think so. The other part is this. Look, if a tree falls in the woods, does anyone hear you? I don't know, or hear it. I don't know, but I do know, I've noticed that with these strikes, that somehow there's like always television cameras there and there's always like union support there. Like it's almost like they know the strike's coming. That doesn't seem like spontaneous. And then if you're going to say, well, it's obviously not spontaneous, John. There was a significant amount of planning to get the media there to support our sides. Now it's almost like, hey, you're doing this for a reason that is not really for anything other than to bring about change through intimidation, of which you're accusing the company of doing. So does that make you better or worse than the company? Just thoughts. I would like to see them stop union busting. I'd like to see them support partners when they ask for a better workplace. This is our right. And we're here and we want it. Stop messing with us. Solaro said the organization committee had a hearing with the National Labor Relations Board on February 16th regarding a petition to form a union. And they're waiting to hear if they will be getting an election date to vote to unionize. In recent months, the efforts for Starbucks employees to form unions have grown. It says in December, Starbucks employees in Buffalo, New York became the first company to successfully unionize. A spokesman for the Starbucks told Denver 7, that's this article I'm reading, the employees who participated in the strike violated clear safety and security protocol and received a warning. Let me tell you what, if you ever want to fight anything, you use safety. Use safety. Oh, it's unsafe. You need to make this change because it's unsafe. Safety is the infallible excuse for everything. Oh my God, safety. You just have to couch it in safety and you'll get it. They're both still employed. They received a warning on separate event, said the spokesperson who declined to give their name. Okay. That's where I'm going to stop. The next article I'm excited about for maybe tomorrow night. So I don't want to go any further. So anyway, let me get back to that. I know I've got a little bit of time. I'm not going to try and waste your time by trying to fill it. I would say, hey, what did we learn today? It seems like Disney is not really the model company you would think. We learned that, maybe striking at a Starbucks where you believe you have certain rights. I don't know. Seems like it's not spontaneous. That's what I'm going to go with on that one. What else did we learn? We learned that you need all these traits, but they're not ones that like regular people have. You have to go to school for them, and they're technical, kind of mumbo jumbo. I actually know a recruiter for a tech company, and she's like really good at her job. She's an older woman. She used to be a real estate agent. That's how I know her. I would love to be a fly on the wall if she knows what the hell any of those skills were that were talked about. Let me see if there's anything else that I missed. Oh, what about this domestic violence conviction and not being discrimination? Like, what do you think about that? And then, have you ever had a boss give you a colon cleanser to drink as an energy drink? And how did that work out? Hard-hitting questions. So with that, I'm going to head out for the night. I don't have anyone in chat, so it's not like I can just talk to people. It's 10 o'clock here on in the central time zone. Getting kind of tired. Probably going to go watch some TV. But I'll be back. Will I be back tomorrow night? Tomorrow night's a very tough night for me. There's some things going on that I'm not sure I really want to be live streaming. I don't know the mood I'm in, but I do enjoy this. And what I would say is, hey, please consider subscribing. Don't even consider it. Just hit the button. I mean, do you know how many channels that I subscribe to just because I understand the plight of the YouTuber, the YouTube commentator? It is not easy, or the content creator. This has been very, very difficult for me to get any traction. You can see I'm kind of falling there at this terrible number. But anyway, let's have some fun. You can make this happen. Like, you can make this go. I'll be here, but I need you with me. I need you with me. So with that, I'm going to head on out. I wanted to say thank you for watching when you do. I know it's not going to be today because the broadcast is almost over, but thank you for watching when you do. I will catch you on the next one. I will tweet if I'm going to live stream tomorrow night, and we'll go from there. So anyway, thank you again for watching. Have a good day, guys.